Hello, Gems. Welcome to another episode of Tiaras and Tech. I'm your host, Shelley Benhoff, and today I'm talking to Aleksandra Majkic about leading with emotional intelligence. She is a Pluralsight Author, professional Scrum Master, and Yogi. We talked about the importance of self-awareness, common mistakes that people make when resolving conflict, and how to be a successful leader. Without further ado, on to the episode. Hey, Aleksandra, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you for inviting me. It's a real pleasure to be around all those wonderful ladies.
Oh, thank you so much. Let's get started by talking about how you started in tech.
How I started in tech? Well, actually, I was pretty appalled by tech, and that was in college. And I never thought I would really, work in the IT with all of the people that are writing code and, selling that to other companies. But it was my first job that I landed, and I really loved it. It was ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, and I had a role of a junior consultant. So my role was to actually learn about the processes of a company and then to work with the internal team and then apply all of this to the system and then make adjustments, talk to customers, see what their real needs are. And that gave me a real good mixture of people and tech. So that's actually why I've become so devoted to tech and why I love it, because I was able to see the benefits and how it can improve business and how we can move forward with it. So it's, I stay there. And I think it's been close to 15 years that I'm in tech right now.
Great. Yeah. For me, it's 22 years.
Okay.
But I started early. All of the skills that you listed that you did for ERP really sounded like multiple jobs to me. That's
Yeah,
why I
yeah,
was
yeah,
laughing. Yeah.
yeah.
It seems like early on in tech, they didn't have things figured out yet, with like roles and stuff, because when I started, the term developer was just everything. We did like UX and front
Yeah.
end and,
Yeah, you had to test
database.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
totally.
even did some testing. So
Oh, good. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's just interesting how, I mean, it's a lot of work, yeah, on one person, but at the same time, I think that you learn a lot when you have roles where,
Yeah.
you're obviously like cross-trained in multiple roles, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And that's a real benefit. And I think it was a treasure for me back then because I was really young, just entering the market, and I was able to see the economy side and how actually companies make budgets, do plannings, how does their production work. And then I had to see it all in a software solution. So that was really, really valuable. I was
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was never, I actually never thought that, I would be working with databases, writing down some SQLs or something, but that also came like, well, I have to do this if I want to be, standalone consultant. So I had really good colleagues. I have to tell you that. And they were really helpful. We were a great team. So that made, I'd say, that transition process and integration smoother than it would be without them.
Absolutely. I think that especially early on, we all need support,
Yeah,
which is why I mentor a lot of people, because I never had that support early on. I didn't have a mentor until 10 years into my career, I think. I would definitely suggest that younger people have multiple mentors for,
yeah,
just support. You need someone to talk you down from imposter syndrome is what
hmm
I do the most with people. And it just, you need to have people who care about you,
Yeah.
and that isn't always your colleagues,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
at
agree.
times.
Yeah. And I think that mentoring is really important at this moment
Yeah.
because we're all apart, working from homes, working remotely all over the globe. And that's when we can feel alone, hitting a wall, right? So
Yeah.
it's really significant to have that person you can reach and then talk with and then settle everything you need to settle. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me. The past 2 years, I've almost quarantined the whole time, but like that was my lifestyle before COVID. So my
Okay.
lifestyle was quarantine. Yeah, because I have calls with people,
Yeah.
I talk to people daily, so I'm not really alone. And I can also talk to people from all around the world, like you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Um, let's talk about Pluralsight. We are
Okay.
Pluralsight authors together. We each teach the same types of leadership content. And I was just wondering how you started. I don't think that I've
Hmm.
heard this story
Yeah.
before.
I've started a couple of years ago because a friend of mine is also an author, Milena Paic, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
actually, yeah, and I actually saw her doing courses, and she talked to me about it, all the process, and how she loved it, and then she recommended me, so I. Because I really wanted to be able to share my knowledge, experience, and everything, I could acquire and gather in the industry and pass it on to other people. So that was a huge thank you to her for recommending me. And so I enjoy that part of being able to teach somebody else the things that I've had to work hard to learn. And especially I think for younger people who are just entering the industry, who are not certain about their career paths, it's really important that they have different kinds of platforms to choose from, subjects to choose from, so they can shape their careers and say, well, okay, this is for me, this isn't, but it was great that you told me that in the course, and that's great. And that's also the kind of feedback that I get from my courses, especially, well, this is for me, this isn't for me, thank you for clearing this out, or I'm learning to become this and this, and your course on feedback or effective communication was really helpful there. So that's, I think, the greatest gain for me and benefit for the people that actually want to learn like this.
Yeah.
Because when the two of us were starting, there wasn't so many or so many courses available, right? We could read books and talk to somebody, but so many, I don't know, different knowledge, a different experience wasn't shared this easily. So for me,
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah. So I think that the saying goes like, uh, love shared is love multiplied, right? Yeah. So I take that for knowledge. So if we don't share it, we cannot multiply it. So that's it. And that's why I've always stood up for sharing knowledge within the companies that I've been working with. And so the teams can gather, talk about projects, technologies, management styles, how they handle customers, how they handle customer complaints. Does that affect their work? Do they have a bad day if they receive a negative email, for example? And that's all important for people to share, because you never know what the other person is going through, and you never know how they react, and if they are productive or not, if they are willing to learn maybe something else and progress somewhere else. So that's why I really love that, the idea that we can share and take whatever we think it's important to us.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that it is a crucial time now to teach proper leadership skills. I think
Yeah.
that this whole, great resignation that's happening is a testament to managers and leadership who are stuck in the past. They're still, using command and control style of leadership. And that was for the industrial age.
Yeah.
We are in the participation age where people, want to have purpose and meaning in their work and to be treated well. And I've actually been doing research on this because I'm like, when is the pandemic going to end? Like the plague was 2 years. The Spanish flu was 2 years, so I think that we're almost there, but I think that this has caused people, and, I'm included, to look at their lives and just be happy every day, make changes. And that means a job. Usually my Twitter feed is full of people who are like, I got a new job. And I'm just like, I'm sure you did, it's what's happening right now. It's amazing. I was also reading after the plague, I think it was in 1348, I think, medieval times, right? Like the labor shortage caused workers and like serfs to demand better treatment. So this isn't new. This is not a new thing that the human beings do. It's just kind of amplified right now, you think?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that everything happens in circles and iterations. So does this. So I think we reached the peak, and I hold your word for these 2 years because I'm really tired of the pandemic and wearing masks. And it's, I often forget it, so I have to go back and but I think that people are aware of their priorities, and like you said, what brings brings joy to their lives, and what they want to contribute their lives to. What do they want to do if they want to travel the world, for example, or not have a home in a single city in a single country, and that's perfectly fine. And to me, it was actually the time to make crystal what my priorities are, and that's what Pluralsight also gave me this opportunity, because I have the freedom to plan my own time. I have this flexibility. I can stay at home with my kids when I want to and when I have to, because they are young and they've just started school, so they need my support at the moment. And that's what it's crystal clear to me. Okay, this is what I want to do and how I want to do it. And through all these changes, I think that also people are more aware of their boundaries and what they can, go for, and what are the limitations and the things that they really don't want to do, and the terms that they don't want to play under. And I think that's really positive. I from this whole pandemic, that's the greatest benefit, I think.
Exactly.
Company owners, like you said, the old school leadership style is not okay with it. But that's also fine, because it will pass, and we will adjust and just start moving forward.
Exactly. Yeah. And I also love to see managers who took our courses, right? And it's helped them to retain talent, because you have to, ensure that people aren't burnt out. In a good way is emotional intelligence, which is, something that is important to us both. Yeah. And so many managers lack that skill, and they aren't even aware that their own behavior like impacts, everybody else. And I always say, if you're in leadership or, just a human being, you have to understand that your words and actions have the power to ruin someone's day. You want
Exactly.
to be sure that you make a person's day instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, through just support and proper leadership.
Yeah. Sometimes just pleasant communication is enough.
Mm-hmm.
In handing over tasks or sending emails or just making calls, that's enough for you. Because I personally have, issues with someone being with someone who's a bully, who's got that, strong attitude that it has to be done the way that they want it to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And when you ask, it's because I said so. Well, that's not a proper answer at all.
Love that. Yep.
Yeah. So I like to stay away from those kind of leadership styles. And I hope that they're vanishing. I hope so. There will always be some, for sure. But, times are changing, and the young people that are entering the industry are different from when we were young at their age.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they do ask questions. They don't have the problem to say, well, I'm not happy here, I'll go somewhere else. And that will also have impact on companies, leaderships, and managers to adapt their leadership styles. And that's also okay.
Right. Yeah. I feel like the way forward is for leadership to not promote people who are not fit for management. I cannot tell you how many times I have worked a job where I am clearly fit for management. I teach it. And all of a sudden, I see some, developer with no soft skills at all be promoted into management. And they literally avoid conflict. They don't, follow up on things. They expect to hand out instructions and people will just do it. Won't answer questions when people ask. Yeah. So
it doesn't work. Yeah.
Please, leaders, I put that into a course of mine that's out soon. It actually might be out, by the time this episode's out. But moving from technical professional to management, in the very first clip, I say what a manager does. And I even say, if you're going into this for the wrong reasons, like stop taking this course. I mean it. That's how I'm so just like, don't go into management because it's a power trip or it's, the next step.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, no. It doesn't have to be.
You can actually absolutely stay technical or whatever, or make your own path, right?
Yeah, because like you say, make your own path, because there are so many possibilities at the moment. Back then, we had one project manager, a couple of developers, a tester, and, that was it. But now we have delivery managers, we have leaders for some specific projects. We do have tech managers, project managers. There's a variety of roles and there's a variety of paths. And that's great to choose from. I personally really like that when people know where they want to go, so I can support their individualism. But if somebody is not sure, then why not give it a try, right? But if you see that, for example, management is not for you, then, step back and you can just take something else. It's not the end of the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. There was a time where I thought management wasn't for me because I had such a horrible time the first time out. But again, I didn't have Pluralsight to learn from. I, had like blogs and stuff like that. But the Pluralsight courses, yours and everyone else who teaches, soft skills, it's taught me so much. I want to talk about your course on what is it called? Like giving
Giving feedback. Yeah.
to difficult personalities, right?
Yeah.
I listened to this course and it actually helped me in my personal life, which
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of them do, because I was a people pleaser. And so I
Right.
would like agree or whatever and try to um, rein in difficult people by being, too soft, I guess.
Yeah.
What how do you explain how to handle difficult people?
Hmm. Well, I just go one step back because nowadays, when we say soft skills, I think, and somebody actually said it, and I agree with it, that there are hard skills. Not everyone can be good at it, but they can be learned, right? But today they're necessary for a person to be, a complete, I don't know, experienced worker. I think that's what's important. And when it comes to difficult people, we have all been around them, that's for sure, whether in our private lives, personal lives, or whether in our companies. And why are they difficult? Because they actually have a set of behaviors that they repeat over and over and over. And then you can see some models and you can say that a person is difficult. For example, um, if a person is loud, assertive, wants to have it their way, uh, it's well, I don't think so. Really controlling, really
Okay, yeah,
likes to, yeah,
that's
really
not me.
likes to criticize all the time, then this person is a bully, definitely. Sometimes you can see it right away. Sometimes you can't. But if you work with someone long enough, then you will see that these behaviors actually, they repeat, repeat, repeat. So I had a super, super experienced, a super successful boss who was a bully. And that was, I don't know, 10 years ago, let's say. And I stopped working there because after a while, it was not fun. It was not interesting. It was all the things that I did wrong. And within that company, we had a policy that if there's no feedback, that's a good thing. And I also talk about it in my course. And if there's a feedback, it will be negative. So I don't know how strong you have to be, you know, just to be able to listen. Well, this could be done differently. Why didn't you ask? Why didn't you do this? This is, do it again, or something like that. So these people, if you can't find ways to share your ideas, to make them listen to you, to be able to communicate your values, then it's really, I think, not an option to stay there because of your mental health, your physical health, the overall satisfaction with the work you do, because it just can't end right. Yeah, so that good, but bullies are really hard, and often really successful because they are strong. They can be the loudest in the room, so they can maybe sell the ideas that are not the best out of the presented ones, but it's their style. And there will always be somebody to come in to work, and people will change, but then it affects the company culture, the team culture, the team spirit, and everything that goes with it. Some people have problems with it, some don't, and that's fine for them to choose. But a lot of people actually are people pleasers just because uh, then people tend to satisfy everyone and then maybe try to avoid conflict because they find it like a really negative and some kind of attack on their personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that could be also a matter of culture as well, depending on where you grow up, how your parents raised you, what did you learn at school, etc. And in that, trying to please everybody, then at the end of the day, you will not please yourself. right? And you will not please anyone else because, if your superior tells you, well, this could have been better, then you didn't fulfill that one, right? You didn't do your job well. So for me, I think the hardest difficult people to work with for me are the egomaniacs. Yeah, because I don't like to tell people what they would like to hear, right? So that's my personal attitude. And egomaniacs love to be flattered, love to be told that they are the best, that they do everything, like they have superpowers. And if I don't see it, I won't tell it, of course. But that's also sometimes you have to be really savvy to have some conversations and to sustain some professional relationships. That's also part of the job. But then again, you choose what you want to do. You have to bear with the consequences, and that's it. That's why we're grown-ups. Yeah.
That's why we're grown-ups. Do you ever
Yeah.
feel like we're teaching like stuff that we learned in kindergarten that adults have just forgotten?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel like that
Yeah.
every time I do a clip on like staying positive or, just like emotional intelligence in general, I think is higher in children than it is in
Yeah.
adults.
Yeah, you can see that. I see that with my kids. Whenever they have their friends come over, you can see who likes to share, who likes to lead, who likes to support everyone else in the group, who's constantly nagging, who's bragging. You can see that in their small groups.
Yeah.
And those are the behaviors that we take with ourselves when we grow up. But sometimes, during school, college, and work and relationships with people, we tend to mute some down, we level some up, and then I think in stressful situations, they can all just come out of us bursting.
Oh, absolutely. And it's interesting because as a woman, if I explode at work, I'm a problem. But if a man does it, he's, strong.
Yeah.
Just like I've
That's
I've been labeled difficult, I think, at almost every job I've ever had, just because, I just wanted to be listened to. That's all.
or maybe you were needy. That's what.
Potentially.
Yeah, that's I think one of the top labels that women get if they ask too many questions and have strict requests, like you're too needy. Yeah.
That's a really, really good point. I never thought about that before. And it was also kind of like because of all the microaggressions thrown at me every day, I really valued positive feedback. And so I would work, 10 times harder than everyone.
Yeah.
And I would never say no to overtime or working, every weekend for 6 months and stuff like that. So setting boundaries, a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's very funny because once I started doing that, people respected me more.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
of course
amazing.
you have to back it up with your knowledge, with your experience. That's number one. But you're right.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about conflict resolution, because that is another thing that I think people make a lot of mistakes. And I was wondering what mistakes you've seen people do in resolving conflict.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think number one for most of people is taking conflict as a fight and personal attack. And that's when our emotions get involved and we start to defend automatically. So that's a problem because then you cannot think rationally, you cannot see the points. Maybe the other side is really telling you something that you need to hear, but you can just block it out because, oh, this is a personal attack. Oh, I'll get back at you with, I don't know, another set that I have under. So that's number one. And that's why we should not take conflicts personally. I'm not saying that they aren't sometimes, but anyways. So when we speak with people, it's always great to refer to their behavior, not the attitude. So, for example, you will not say, well, you're a bad person because you did this, but then you could have done this differently. Let's talk about this. And then people will be more free to have that conversation. And they will not feel as attacked probably. But with conflict, that's definitely number one. So don't take it personally, and then try to take a little break and see some rational points. A good thing to do is to ask a lot of questions to be able to understand why the other side or other sides are pointing out to something, to a certain action or certain behavior or some project issue, for example. And then you can see from their perspective how they actually see it, understand it, why they think it's negative, why it's a conflict, and so on. Actually, there's a scientist, Dr. Friedrich Glassel, and he has this model of conflict resolution. There are 9 stages. So 9 stages, that's a long way that you have to go to get to that. The last one is together into the abyss. So there's no resolution. And I always talk about it, that movie, The War of the Roses, when
Yeah.
Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, they end up divorced in a house that's totally burned down, and they are in the abyss. There's no resolution there. But there are these steps till that 9th, right? So in the first 3, we don't need a third party. So if you feel like you cannot resolve a conflict positively, then it's really good to ask a third party to be that ratio, to see both perspectives and to give in some comments, suggestions, and to help out. What also people think is that usually that they have to resolve this conflict right away, like in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but it's really good just to leave it and sleep over and then come back. Then you will be less emotionally attached. You will have some time to think about it, to maybe talk to somebody else who is not involved at all, so you can hear other people's opinions, and then you'll be able to sit calmly and speak with person. Of course, this means that you as a person have to be aware of how you behave, what actually you do. And I think it takes some courage, and it takes self-awareness to be able to resolve some difficult conflicts successfully.
Absolutely. Self-awareness. That
Yeah.
is, I literally just recorded a clip on emotional intelligence. And the number one thing is to be self-aware and to be open to criticism. There are so many
Yeah.
people in this world that if they are presented with any kind of criticism, even if it's constructive and,
Yeah.
said in a nice way, it like breaks their brain or something. They just can't. They
Yeah.
immediately get mad.
Yeah.
And that's really, really hard
Yeah.
in trying to resolve anything. But
Mhm.
I really like what you said about sleeping on it.
Yeah.
That is really useful to, as you said, just calm yourself down so you don't approach it as emotionally
Yeah.
as you would. Yeah.
Yeah. A great tactic, if the things really heat up, you can just say, okay, let's stop here, walk away, come back after 5 minutes, 10, a lunch break, and then continue. That's a really good one.
That's an excellent point. I will have to use that,
Yeah.
except that I haven't experienced, tension in a while
Okay.
because I run my own company
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
it's only a couple people, so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But
Keep that somewhere in mind.
keep it in mind. Yeah. If
Yeah.
it ever happens in the
Yeah.
future, actually, it would probably happen in my personal life a lot easier than it would happen in my
Yeah.
professional one.
Yeah. But it's completely okay to step away and say, let's take a break and then continue.
Absolutely.
Because I've been in meetings where we couldn't agree with the customer about what the actual requirements were, what was delivered, and then money is involved, finances, budgets, plannings, and that's what makes people edgy. And that's where I've learned that with my ex-colleague who was really experienced at the moment and said, well, let's take a break, shall we? And then he told me, well, shit hit the fan. So we need a little break. And that's true.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
is extremely true. Have you had any negative experiences as a fellow woman in tech?
Well, usually when because I was doing let's say presentations and demos of software services and products that my company was selling, and usually when it comes to going to further questions, there was, okay, is there a boss in your company? Or, something like that. So I did take it personally at the beginning, but then I saw it as kind of a repetition. And I said, well, no, this is me. I have everything. I will answer everything that you ask. If I don't have the immediate answers, then I will send them over to you. I will follow up. And throughout that process, I've also learned that it's completely fine to say, I don't know at this moment, but I will get back, which is also important for that self-awareness. And because one person can't know everything, that's for sure. So it was, that. Is there a male boss or just a boss in your company who can answer some questions? And there was one time that I really felt uncomfortable and unpleasant. I was on the board of the cluster of local IT companies. And there was a huge meeting of all of the members. There was an important issue. And we were at the table, and I was the only woman among 20 plus companies. So those were the owners or CEOs. And when I saw that, that was like weird. And it hit me like, okay, why am I the only female person sitting here? And I was among the youngest ones, and I didn't feel comfortable at all.
Absolutely.
There
And
were
it's
no comments, there were no rude, nothing, but just, it wasn't naturally.
exactly.
Yeah, natural.
It's really, really hard to be the only woman at the table.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
Yeah.
It's just like you don't know how what you say will be taken, I guess. But I think that a trend I've heard in almost like every person I've had on who's, experienced is that after you're in tech for a while, you just, I don't know if you get used to the microaggressions and being, talked down to, or if we just don't care anymore and we're like, we're here, we plant our flag and we're just like, we're not leaving.
Yeah. I'm not overthinking it, like you said, I'm here, I know my work, and I'm willing to learn more every day. So yeah.
Absolutely. I've worked a lot of dev, jobs. I was absolutely the only woman on the team, and I was almost always hated on that team, but I was loved by literally every other team, and the clients. I think that says a lot about what was going on there.
But I think the structure changes. I think there are more and more women in tech, and that's great. Yeah. And younger girls, they are into coding. They're not afraid to take their chance, and that's really great. There are a lot of I don't know, organizations that support women in tech, and
Absolutely.
that's super beneficial, and I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And for us, I think personally, we are representing women on Pluralsight, which is seen by how many people. I mean, I have like
Yeah.
thousands of students every month. And it just really touches me when a female student reaches out and is like, thank you so much for teaching me these skills, you know, it's helped
Yeah.
me and all this stuff. Those are the people I mentor a lot, you know, because
Great.
they're like reaching out. And so I just kind of jump in. Anyone that's listening to this, just you know, yeah, like I love to help women be successful. That's it.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. And it helps when we have people in the industry to look to, like Julie Lerman is like a huge one for me. She's a Pluralsight author that I had on last year. And I also had
you had Deborah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Karada. She is one of the top authors on Pluralsight, and she is the only female in the top, I think, 10 authors.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I would really love to hear that she is the top author, like number one, because I know that at a time that was true. But, you know,
we're cheering.
We are cheering.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything that has happened to you made you stronger. You're a Pluralsight author now, and that is not an easy feat. They are very selective. They only choose 10% of applicants, and I've actually heard that that's actually less now. So they're even like more picky.
Yeah, and that's I think that that Pluralsight has this great community of authors, and and the content is super high quality, and I really love that and I really love that they're raising the bar all the time.
Absolutely. The author community, I credit them with, you know, lifting me out of my horrible dark depression and giving me advice. And that is why I am a full-time author now, because they helped me. And the other thing I've told a lot of people, the Pluralsight Author Slack channel is the only Slack channel I have ever been a part of where no man has ever said anything wrong to me, or, you know, like
everybody
tried to like take me down in any way. And like they are happy to publicly support us as well, which I enjoy.
That's really important. Yeah.
So it sounds like that really changed our lives and sent it in a much better direction.
That I complete with you 100%. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we do have to wrap up. And so where can people find you? Are you having any upcoming courses or speaking engagements?
Well, I'm active on LinkedIn and Twitter. Also, I have an Instagram profile that I'm building at the moment. And this is where they can reach me, also through Pluralsight. For this year, I'm preparing a couple of new courses, and also I will be starting to do workshop and consultations online. And I hope that when the pandemic is done, that I will be able to do it in person with people who live nearby. So this is like my project for this year, to start workshops and consultations based on the courses that I've been publishing for Pluralsight.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'll absolutely sign up for those. I'll hear
great,
anything that you have to say.
great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for your time. I
yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me. It was really nice to share my thoughts with you and the things I know, and to hear from you. I'm I would say I'm a learner devoted, so I really like to learn, and I adore your courses. And thanks for having me again. I'll keep on following your work.
Thanks. If you want to support us, please like, subscribe, and share
Yeah.
this episode with your fellow gems. Let me know in the comments what other topics you would like me to cover, and follow Tiaras and Tech on social media. Thanks for watching or listening, and have a great day.